I just popped over and had a look at the registrations, and it looks like there's a few other people that had registered that haven't showed up, but most of, I think the people that had their click the registration button are here. So being that it's after 5, maybe we'll just begin. And as other people, Ingrid, you can keep letting them in. I think I'm gonna start off. I'm going to introduce myself. Hello, everybody. My name is Steve Samal-Grant. I'm the director of the Curios program. We're so glad that you've joined us to hear more about this ministry. And we know some of you are potential students, maybe thinking about a gap year experience. Some of you are friends of Kurios who have been following our ministry over the last 2 years. This is our first full year of offering the ministry. We did it last year, and Blaze was one of our students last year. I'm glad that he joined us. Thanks, Blaze, for coming. And we're really excited about what God's doing. I'm excited for you to meet this year's 6 participants. We sat down and they decided how this should go and what they wanted to share with you about Kurios. So I'm going to kick us off. We're going to show you our a video that we made to introduce the ministry, and then our students are just going to take it from there, and I'll be back to answer questions kind of at the end. But to begin with, if I can make this work, I'm going to share my screen and play you the video. That's not the one you want. That's not the one you want. It's not that one either. It's this one. Ingrid, is that showing right now?
Yes.
Okay.
You can't explain it. But in the quiet, something stirs in you. There's more. There are pastures of peace, mountains of victory, where we can encounter a presence that unwinds and rebuilds, a truth that ignites full life, a Lord that demands everything, yet overflows with everything we could ever need. Something shakes our core when he enters the room. Our souls rise up in faith and fullness when we declare he is Lord. May people lose their appetite for spectatorship or entertainment. May it turn their stomachs so they can't stand what they used to crave. And may the hunger and thirst for true communion, true worship, overtake. Curios is the exploration of God's beautiful lordship over all parts of our lives. The exploration of what happens when we let go, when we trust, adventure, and run after the things of God. When we know him deeper and can trust in his goodness, in his Father heart, in his power, in his lordship. There's a battle for our attention. What is Lord over your life? Lean into this high call. It changes everything.
I just got to figure out how to stop sharing my screen now. There, did you stop it? Is it done?
Yeah, it's done.
Perfect.
Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Starry, and I am one of the 6 participants of Curios this year. I'm from Nelson, British Columbia, and I will be the MC for this virtual open house. I just want to start off by welcoming everyone joining us today. We are so happy that technology allows us to host an open house virtually and that you're here. So I'm here at Gull Lake in central Alberta, where our home base is located. And during the Zoom meeting, everyone except the speaker will be muted. So if everyone could mute themselves, I think everyone actually is already, so that's great. We will be going over Curios' purpose and what is included, as well as a live tour of all the places we get to use to learn and grow together in our relationship with each other and with God. This open house meeting will also include an interview live from Guatemala with our CBN partners, Bruno, Kathleen, and Byron. So if you have any questions, hold on to it because we will have Q&A time at the end of the open house where we will try to provide the answers to your questions. I will now throw it over to Kia and Raquel, who are at the beach. That actually happens to be only a 5-minute walk away from where we're staying. Oh, actually, just before we do that, Ingrid will share a short video of our adventures so far.
Hey everyone, I'm Kia from Vancouver, and this is
I'm Raquel from Lethbridge. Today we're joining you guys from the beach at Gull Lake.
Here's the beach,
There's the beach.
and here's our
Oh,
fire.
We need a fire.
Would you look at that?
That's crazy.
At the beach, this is where we hang out a lot. watch the sunset, play volleyball, go kayaking, and watch the Northern Lights.
Yeah. Anyway, at Kurios, I really like being in nature, so I'm really glad that we're able to spend a lot of time in nature because it's how I connect with God really well. One thing that we were able to do at the beginning of Kurios was take a week-long camping trip in Kananaskis, which was really cool, and we got to hike almost every day and just spend time in the mountains, and it was very nice.
Yeah. The next adventure we had was a BC road trip. It was a little over 3 weeks. We went through Jasper, Kamloops, and Vancouver. Through that time, we tried different churches with different cultures and different ways of doing church. We also got the chance to experience a weekend at Keats and explore it, spend time in the nature, which was pretty cool and pretty.
Yeah. And then just last week, we got to spend time in Banff, which was nice because I've never been to Banff before. So we got to go there for a pastor's conference, which was really spiritually renewing. And it was nice because we got to do more hikes and spend more time in nature. So yeah, those are just a few of the adventures that we've been able to do so far at Curios. Back to you.
Back to you, Sari.
Thank you for sharing, Kia and Raquel. If you haven't visited our website, curios.ca yet, there's a section where it introduces Curios' core values. Ingrid will pop the page right. Oh, thank you. As you can see here, Curios is oriented around our 9 core values, and our community life enables us to grow in these values, such as maturity and relationships. We value maturity here at Curios. Living together in a Christian community gives us tons of opportunities to grow together, We learn, play, work side by side, taking responsibilities together in all aspects and tasks of life. Another one of our core values is prayer. Here at Curios, we explore the fullness of what it means to communicate with God. And instead of thinking of it as like a necessary task or a chore, we learn to embrace prayer as a way of living. And I can confidently say for myself that my relationship with God through prayer is strengthened through my experiences here at Curios. So living a balanced life is very important, and I'm very thankful that all of us actively seek to live healthy lives. Environment, food, sleep, physical activity, and preventing illness are key parts of stewarding the life we have been given. We strive to live these truths as acts of worship under the Lordship of Jesus. I will stop talking now and pass it over to Myra, who will tell us more about prayer and also give us a tour of our dorm here at home base. But just before we do that, Myra, Ingrid will share a drone footage taken by Kia of our home base.
Okay, hello everyone. I'm Myra from Calgary, and I'm also one of the participants in Kurios. I'm over here, one of those buildings you just saw in the video. These are our living accommodations, and just, yeah, where we spend a lot of time hanging out and stuff. Right now, I'm in our little hangout area. Sorry. Oh, there you go. This is where we do morning and evening prayer every day. This is one of the key things at Kurios because it helps establish the habit of prayer in our lives. Every day we gather together when we wake up and before we go to bed to read the Psalms together. We also share things like our prayer requests, some songs, or just have reflection time. This is a really good time of us connecting, I guess. And part of that is our daily Bible reading. So every day we also read the Bible, and throughout the entire year, we're going to read the Bible. And we have meetings once a week, when we discuss what we've read that week. And that has really pushed us deeper and just like learning more about the Bible and deepen our understanding and our faith a lot. Okay, so now I'm going to give you like a little kind of tour of our living accommodations. So here are some rooms. We have sinks, washrooms. This is actually my room right here. But as you can see, we've added lots of stuff to make it our own. Outside the window here, you can see our van. Special story about the van. Basically, when we were on our BC road trip, our old one broke down and on the Coquihalla, which was not a fun time. But with God's help and lots of prayer and support from other people, we got that new van. We also have this lovely kitchen space where we can make tea and coffee in the mornings and things like that. I'll come over here. Here's another room as an example of what people have done to help decorate. Thank you, Alyssa. And yeah, I'll pass it over.
Hello, I'm Eva. I'm currently in the kitchen where we do all of our cooking and where we eat all of our meals. The video was being terrible earlier today. Hopefully I can kind of give you a little look around. So that right there, this is the stove and the oven where we can cook our food. They're really, really high quality and industrial grade, which means they cook things very fast. As I have learned in the past, I burned a couple of my dishes, but it's fine. I've made them again in the end. You can't really see behind that wall, but there is, that's where we got our dishes after supper. And then over here, we just have like some more space. Additionally, we have the pantry in there, as well as a walk-in fridge where we store all of our ingredients. So kind of the kitchen area, it's just a lot of fun. It's one of my favorite areas because I love to bake and I love to cook and I love how food brings people together. So we eat supper every single night together as a community, and we take turns like cooking and baking for one another, sharing in food, and it's one of my favorite parts of the experience. I'll now pass it over to Starry.
Well, thank you, Myra, Eva, and Ingrid. We are so grateful to call this place our home. Although our home base is located here, we actually spend only half of our time here because the other half we spend traveling. So Curios is actually quite mobile. Our time together includes, as mentioned by Kia and Raquel, road trips to BC, Saskatchewan, and Manitoba. So I will now pass it over to Peter Anderson in Surrey, who will tell us more about it. Peter, you have to unmute.
All right. Hey, thank you. Thank you, Starry. Hey, everyone. My name is Peter Anderson, and I serve as the Director of Next Generation Ministries with the Canadian Baptists. And I'm wearing this hat indoors, which is kind of a funny thing. But these are actually symbols of our ministry priorities as a family of churches. So the three ministry priorities are cultivating leadership, investing in relationship, and engaging in mission. And Kurios is an answer to prayer for our churches who prayed for 77 days about how to make a difference with the next generation. And a part of that, part of the outpouring of that is Kurios. And Kurios really is about cultivating leadership, investing in relationship, both with God and with others, and engaging in mission. I'm here in BC, and I had originally hoped to be outside, but BC winter, as we're approaching, we're having what's called an atmospheric river right now, which is a fancy way of saying it is raining like you wouldn't believe out here. So hence I'm inside. But I did want to share with you just a little bit about how Kurios is a part of the Canadian Baptist family. We welcome anyone to come and be a part of Kurios, whether you're a part of Canadian Baptist Church or not. But one of the cool things is that it's supported and championed by 160 churches across Western Canada. Many of these churches you get to experience and be a part of at one time or another during your Kurios experience on your travels. And I wanted to share with you a little bit, particularly around the BC portion of your time. So in the fall, while the weather is still nice and beautiful in BC, you get to come here, travel here, and enjoy the mountains and the ocean. Part of it is you get to spend a couple of days with Beulah Garden Homes, which is a couple city blocks big housing complex in BC. And you get to learn about what it means to care for those who are aging, and not only what it means to care for them, but what it means to receive care from them, as our participants got to hear stories of how God has worked in people's lives throughout the generations. And I know that was a sweet time. You get to do amazing things like go out to one of our island camps called Keats Camp for an extended retreat while you're in BC, as well as getting to do some hiking, some outdoor stuff, and getting to work with some inner city stuff downtown Vancouver as well. There's lots of opportunities, and sometimes opportunities just present themselves. And that's one of the beautiful things about Kurios is there's always a plan, there's always something in place. But if God brings a unique opportunity for learning, for serving, for growing, we just take it as they come. And sometimes it's the unplanned things or the things that change in the schedule, like a van breaking down, where God can work in some incredibly powerful ways. So the time in BC is a beautiful aspect of your Kurios experience. And if you come to Kurios, you'll get to visit with my family and I while you're here, because we live, as you probably guessed, here in Surrey, BC as well. So that's a little bit about the BC road trip experience. It's 2.5 weeks during the fall, each and every year of Kurios. All right, well, thanks. I'm going to send it back to Starry. It's so good to be here with you.
Thank you so much, Peter, for sharing. Coming back to our core values, if Ingrid, you don't mind sharing that page again. Thank you. Um, yeah, so through the sessions and courses here at Curios, we develop a love for scripture and gain an understanding of its overall story and themes. I personally love that we got to explore deep into the Bible and learn more about it. Another core value is evangelism. We learn to share God's story and to proclaim the gospel freely to anyone. The last core value I'll be going over is church. We learn about the true meaning of worship and wrestle what it means to be the church. And I will go ahead and throw it over to Alyssa now, who will tell us what we learned around these core values and show us more of the Gull Lake facilities.
Awesome. Thank you, Starry. Hi, everyone. My name's Alyssa. I am from Sundre, Alberta, and I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the super cool programs we have that we're taking while we're here. So I'm currently over upstairs in one of the rooms at the Gull Lake Center, and we spend a lot of time here learning together as a community. It's also an awesome recreational space, and I'll get to that at the end. But part of the Kurios program is that we spend intentional time together growing in our faith and our love for God and others. And to facilitate this, we have a series of courses that we all participate in. I think Myra already mentioned a little bit about the Bible reading course we're doing. So this is the full year. We spend every day time in the Bible reading God's word, and we get to do some journaling with that. And once a week we get together and we have time to reflect and ask questions. And there's a lot of questions that I didn't realize I had about the Bible. And it's really awesome to get some answers to those and have some really, really awesome conversations. Another course we're doing is the Old Testament survey, which we all have been learning so much about the Bible. We get to look at the historical context of the different books and the author and the setting and background. Super interesting. That's being taught by Dr. Brad Penner, who has a PhD in theology, which is super cool. And he knows so much and has been able to answer lots of questions as well. Another thing, Myra mentioned the importance of prayer. So we have that morning and evening prayer time. We're also reading through Timothy Keller's book on prayer and learning like what it means to pray, and how we can deepen our relationship with God through prayer. We've also had a series of sessions learning about emotional intelligence. So focusing on that big goal of having healthy relationships, learning problem-solving skills, and how to listen well and communicate with others. So that's been one of the highlights. So in addition to all of these wonderful courses that we've been doing, we have a number of other speakers who come in and teach about leadership and values and mission work in poverty. So we're learning so much, and it's been awesome to learn with all of you guys in this community. And I definitely recommend, if you're looking to grow that foundation of your faith, come to Kurios, because you learn so much and you get to spend time with great people. And now I'm going to pop over and show some of the recreational spaces. So if I can figure out how to flip my camera around. Alrighty, so this is the room I'm in. It's really nice. We don't actually spend a ton of time up here, but outside we have a fantastic climbing wall. So that's super duper fun. And we also have a full-size gymnasium, which is epic. So we can play games in here, go for runs, do whatever we like. And yeah, I'm gonna throw it back to Starry, and she's gonna show you guys the recreational room downstairs.
Thank you, Alyssa. I am currently in the game room and here at Gull Lake, actually. Yeah, so we have a foosball table, I'm not sure. And we also have a giant pool table. And back here we have some video game tables, which is really cool. And we have the privilege to use all of these facilities whenever we want. And I will pass it on to Bruno, Kathleen, and Byron now, and that will be our final interview.
Well, hi, everybody. Boy, you're all so quick and snappy with everything. I'm so impressed. And can we come? Is there an age limit? Anyway, I'm wondering if we can share. I have a little, yeah, I want to be able to share my screen. See, okay, there we go.
I just made you a co-host, Kathleen, so hopefully you can share your screen now. Hopefully it'll work. Kathleen, you should introduce yourself and Byron as well and tell us where you're coming from, because
Yes.
I don't know if we realize we just connected, you know, all the way down to South America.
Yeah, so actually Bruno's going to introduce us because some of you might not even know very much about CBM or who we are. And yeah, and then we'll get on with our.
Hi, everybody. Just in case some of you don't know who CBM is, we are the mission arm of 1,000 churches in Canada, including the Baptist churches of Western Canada. So we help out we work through partnerships. So that means we are connecting to partners in different parts of the world, 14 different countries. And for us in Latin America, that means 5 different countries. We live in Guatemala, and we work here in El Salvador, Dominican Republic, Cuba, and Bolivia. Bolivia is a very old mission field for CBM, 125 years or so. So Kathleen and I give some support to the work, the partnership relationships, the programming, and the staff. We have staff in Bolivia, and I think our colleague Byron is here.
If he's not there, he's coming.
Or will be.
Yeah.
So he's our latest hire. We call him national staff because they're not Canadian. He's from Guatemala, so he worked with us. He's a CBM employee, but he works with us, and really cool background as a pastor, working with churches, mobilizing communities, and all that kind of stuff. So it's been really a joy to have him with us, and we wanted him with us here tonight because any of you who come to Guatemala will be connecting with him. He helps out with teams and with visitors, as well as just the regular programming that we do with a couple of partners we have here in Guatemala.
Yeah, so we'll be hearing from Byron as we go on, but what I thought I would share a little bit, pictures are always a little bit easier. So I'm guessing that most people know where Guatemala is, but just in case, just to get it in your minds, we're just south of Mexico, and you can see the other Central American countries there below us, with the Pacific Ocean on one side and the Caribbean Sea on the other. One unique area of Guatemala where we have had recent new growing partnerships is around the area of Lake Atitlan. And that is where I have highlighted in pink there, just so that you can see. Okay, so this is sort of another little view of it, and I'm showing you this because this is the area that we're planning to have the Curios students come to experience culture, church, and for some opportunities for service. So as you look, this is all of the little communities that are around this lake. Now you'll see a few volcanoes. They're not active, but this is a volcanic lake, and I believe this area was nominated for one of the 7 or 10 wonders of the world, but it's beautiful there. So Panajachel is where everybody comes in. It's a major center, and there you can see it. When I say major, I mean it's not a very big community, but it's a focal point for where all of the transportation goes from there. So this is a picture of the lake from Panajachel, and that's where all the water taxis are, because in order to get to any of those communities, you're traveling by boat. So if I come back to Panajachel, I just want to show you that this is the one area. San Pedro and Santiago are the 2 communities where we have churches and partnerships with the growing in those areas. This is San Pedro as you arrive from the water. And this is just one of the churches there. We call it the Cake Church. I mean, it's really opulent. So the First Baptist in San Pedro, and they do have a mission to the community. So they provide a medical center, and which has really been important in that area. Another church, so it looks a little bit different in this area, is Gethsemane. And this church actually operates a school, which has been really important in these are predominantly indigenous communities. So the first language isn't Spanish. They're the indigenous languages, of which there are how many?
22 or 3.
lots of them. And so these children typically come from very poor families that can't maybe afford to send them to school. Not that it's necessarily expensive to go, but there are costs. So the church provides good teachers, because that's another thing that's lacking here in the education system. So committed Christian teachers, and the children receive scholarships, and encourage, their families are encouraged to be there. So that's San Pedro. Another community, the other community that we'll be going to is Santiago. And again, just the bird's eye view, just to kind of give you an idea, this is actually one of the larger communities around the lake. Again, as you approach from the water, this is what it looks like. And if you think you're going to be climbing hills, believe it, you are. Fortunately, there are tuk-tuks, which I've become very familiar with, and you can hop in those babies and they take you right where you need to go. So the church in Santiago, this is called El Buen Pastor, which is just, I just wanted you to see what churches look like. They're a little bit different. This church, we just quite love it. They have a wonderful ministry to widows and girls and young women. And basically they do beautiful beadwork. They produce all kinds of things that are marketed locally and in other areas. And just as a way to have dignity in their lives and have a way of caring for their families. This church, El Buen Pastor, also has a school connected to it. Same idea that many of these children would have difficulty, their families would have difficulty sending them to school if they didn't have this type of school to go to. So this is, and if we go just a little bit outside of Santiago, I wanted to show you, this is the inside of another church. It's called Iglesia Bautista Belén. And what I loved about this church is that there's a high school that's right next door, that's busting at the seams. And so the church has opened up their classrooms, their area, to house the high school students, who of course get connected to the church. The other thing that this church does, they have a wonderful outreach to seniors in the community. And many of these people are isolated, malnourished. And so the church provides them with a meal and a place to have fellowship and encouragement. So just as I wrap that up, I don't see all of my screen, but I'm hoping Byron is there, because I just wanted to ask him to share a little bit about just the churches in this area, or even the churches generally in Guatemala, so that people can get an idea of what what some of the dynamics are unique about being the church and possibly being a pastor in Guatemala.
Okay. Hi to everybody. Can you hear me? Okay. So nice to meet you, and expecting, we pray that maybe one day we will having you here in our country will be a pleasure. But talking about churches, I think that most of our churches, I mean, we are, our country is a young country, you know. Most of our people, they are young. I think like 25% of our population is under 30 years old. So we have a lot of kids and young people. So our churches, I mean, they like to work a lot with children and with youth people. So they have a different programs for children and youth. So basically that's the focus in most of the churches in our country. And well, we have a lot of challenge, you know, in our country. And I praise the Lord, because many churches in our country, they try to work, you know, doing with the different issues that is happening in our different areas. Like, for example, like Kathleen was talking about, you know, education, you know. So, you know, our education in our country is, I mean, is not the best education in the world. So, I mean, I praise the Lord, because most of many churches, they have like a school, you know, that they are offering like a scholarship to children. And so they are doing a good work, many churches in different areas. Also, other thing that we have a challenge in our country is about the bad nutrition. You know, we have our country, you know, it's sad to say, you know, but it's the first one in Latin America. We have most of our children under 5 years old, they have bad nutrition, you know. So it's a challenge we have in our country. And but I praise the Lord, because many churches in our country, they are doing different kind of projects to do something for that. No? So I can say something. Thank you.
Great, thanks, Byron. So I think that hopefully it gives you a bit of an idea of some of the service opportunities that there are and things that we can be engaged in that can give us bring us closer to the reality of what it means to live your faith out in this different culture. So it wasn't lost on me, your games room, gym, all that stuff. And I want you to see what are some of the treats that await for you in Guatemala. So this actually, because you did already see the lake. So think of kayaks, paddleboarding, swimming, all those types of things are right there for everybody to enjoy on your downtime. And then this is what I'm showing you a picture of is the Baptist Association down by the lake has a Baptist center. And so it's a retreat place. So there's lots of meeting spaces outside that, especially in this day and age, are a welcome sight. They've got huge kitchen facilities where you can cook together. They also, this is the picture of the dormitory, and it does look pretty lush, doesn't it? Well, let's just go inside one of the rooms. So there you go. Now, depending upon, there haven't been a huge number of visitors there, but the rooms, yeah, can house a lot of people, and there's bathrooms in every room. But obviously, we wouldn't have to put 10 people in one room, but I just wanted you to get an idea of what that looks like. And yes, so this just takes us back to kind of my favorite part of Guatemala and all the awesome kids that are here and the people that are so welcoming and warm and friendly. So we're really looking forward to, we love the fact that we've got a commitment to meet this group that's going to be coming in early of 2023. This is probably a little bit later than we had hoped, but we're really thankful to be able to host you and have you experience the beauty of Guatemala. There we go. I'm supposed to say back to somebody, Steve.
Yeah, no, sorry, I clicked the mute button, but it didn't work. So I had to click it twice. Thank you, Bruno and Kathleen. I'm so excited, and Byron, to meet you. But I'm also sad because we can't come for another year and a bit. I know when I'm in Edmonton and our students are at home base, so when I get back, they're all gonna be cornering me and saying, hey, wait a minute. So we'll talk, and we're going to say that we may just open it up to all of our previous Curios participants for this first year to come and to join us. We'll just bring a bigger team down, and we'll have to talk about those details more. But there's just, my heart's just there. I've never been to Guatemala, but my heart is there with you as I see those pictures and see those places, and I sense the Spirit of God at work there through everything that He's doing, and we want to come and be part of that. We definitely do. So next on our schedule, we've got some good time here for questions and answers, and I'm so glad that Bruno and Kathleen and Byron are here. So glad our students are all here because they can tell you more about the program as well. And my 6 students don't know this yet because I only just decided it now, but my first question is going to be for any and or all of them to share a story of where they've felt God helping them become more like Jesus in the last 2 months. Just one story. It doesn't have to be from all of you, but maybe there's 1 or 2 of you that want to start with that first question. And the rest of you that are here, any questions that you might want to ask, you can pop them in the chat or just unmute yourself and go ahead and ask, and we'll do our best to find the answers for you. So which one of you 6 want to go first there? I'm switching to gallery view. That might be more helpful if some of you want to be able to see some of these questions and answers too. My students, they do this whenever I ask a question. They get kind of quiet, and then I have to sometimes put them on the spot. And so maybe I'll do that to Kia.
Maybe just bring it up.
Kia, you or Raquel, one of you want to share a story of where you've experienced God over the last? Look at Raquel's eyes. Can you see him? I love it. Oh, she's running away and leaving Kia there. Yeah, I see that note from you, Cliff, about talking about bursaries, and yes, we definitely are going to. Maybe I'll be nice here to my my young adult friends and give them another moment to keep thinking about that. You're not off the hook, but I'll give you a moment to keep thinking about it. Let me share my screen here again, and hopefully you're now seeing our webpage. This is Kurios.ca, and a few things right in the top corner here. You'll see the little page marker down there. It says open the view book. That's one of our best resources to give you a big overview of our ministry and what it's all entailed. So I'm not going to go through that. You can see it there. But one of the links on the website is how much does Kurios cost? And this is usually whenever I do presentations like this is the first question that we get from people. So this is on the website, kurios.ca/finances. What's posted there is our fee for 2021-22. We are just starting the budget cycle for 22-23, and I'm hoping that it's going to be almost exactly the same as this. We're not currently planning a lot, but we've got to sit down and do the numbers. So we are trusting and expecting that the fee for 22-23 is also going to be $15,500 for the full 8-month program. The way that breaks down is it's an actual $18,000 cost, but we will be working hard to make sure that everybody that applies is eligible for an initial $2,500 bursary to bring that cost down to $15,500. That's one of the budget things. We have to make sure that we still have enough in the bursary fund. We're still doing fundraising for it, but I'm expecting that for 22-23, that won't be an issue, and we'll be able to offer that to everybody that's able to come. So that covers everything, covers our accommodations, covers our food, all of our course costs, the road trips. It includes our portion in Guatemala. And one note for that portion, we actually break it down. You can see it a little bit further down. That portion is actually eligible for a charitable donation credit. So that brings your actual cost for the program down even further when you get that charitable donation credit. We can do that because of our partnership with Canadian Baptist Ministries. So that actual total cost of $15,500 nets you a little bit less after that. There's a few things it doesn't cover, some textbooks, and then of course getting to and from the program and souvenirs, but really we've tried to include absolutely everything in that one cost so that it's there. So if I scroll down a little further, what bursaries are available? Well, the one I just talked about, we call it the Friends of Curios bursary, and that's the $2,500 that thanks to our many generous supporters who believe in this ministry and helping us start this and launch it. We expect we'll be able to make available to everybody that applies for next year. We have also, Peter earlier mentioned Beulah Garden Homes in Vancouver. They believe in this ministry, and they are offering us 6 bursaries of $2,500 that are on top of the other ones. So all of our applicants can apply for those, and there's 6 that are available. We have a couple others as well, a women's bursary, and then there's a few others that we're continuing to work to develop. So those are all there. To be eligible, you apply at Curios, and then you complete the bursary application form. And those decisions are made July, August by our advisory committee. There's also on that finances page spots for people that are supporting Curios, not through applying and coming, but as donations, and you can read about that there. I don't need to talk about it anymore there. So let me figure out how to stop sharing my screen again. There it is. Come back to the gallery view. So what other questions? Does the website show the dates for application, deposit, and final payment? That's a great question. Applications for 22-23 are open now, and there is a link to click to apply. There is no application fee. So the process is once you apply, then we get in touch, have a conversation, and when we make decisions to accept people into the program, then we send an invitation, and at that point in time, there's a deposit that is due. Final payments, we've broken them into 2 semesters. So the first payment for the first semester is due on arrival, so early in September. And then there's a second payment that'll be due early in January. So Ingrid, can you make a note? Because we should probably put that on the finances page. We can add that as we continue, that continues to evolve. Are there other questions people have? You can pop them in the chat, or if you want to unmute and ask.
There's one in the chat here from Kaylee. Speaking specifically to something Starry had mentioned about making prayer a way of life rather than something you feel obligated to do. And she's opening it up to Starry yourself if you want to answer that, or any other participant. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
sure. I'm willing to answer that question. So prayer for me was something I always struggled with, but coming here to Curios, and we did many different sessions on prayer, and I've always thought of prayer as like a one-way thing, like me just talking to God, but then I learned that it's actually a two-way conversation, and learned to hear God's voice. And lately I feel like God is with me every minute of my day, which is amazing. And that is all because I've been praying, and also our evening and morning prayer. So starting our day with prayer and ending our day with prayer has been really helpful and just amazing. Yeah, I don't know if that answers your question.
Thank you, Starry. It's one of the things I love about, I mean, there's many things I love about Kurios, but one of the things I love is that we live together. So we're able to develop these habits and these patterns of living. And my biggest prayer and my biggest hope for our ministry is that our young adults that come learn these things and they establish them in their lives, which will bear fruit for the entire remainder of their life. It's not just something we do on Sunday morning, but we follow Jesus as Lord over all. I don't think we even mentioned that the word Kurios is actually the Greek word for Lord that's in the New Testament. So that even the name forms everything that that we try to do. Everything is about learning to love Jesus and follow him as our Lord over all. Thank you for talking about that, Starry, and thank you for that question, Kaylee. Kevin is asking, can one or some of the participants outline a typical daily schedule when we're at base camp? Yeah, we certainly can. Alyssa, you kind of talked about a few of those things, so why don't you jump in on that one?
Yeah, that's a super good question. And I remember when I was on the Zoom call last year, when I was interested in the program, that was one of the things that I was wondering a lot about as well. So with our program, we basically start our day, like the first thing we do together is morning prayer. That's usually around 8 o'clock or 9. There's a bit of wiggle room in there, depending on how the day before went and whether or not we ended up staying up late watching Northern Lights or watching a movie together, because we do have movie nights occasionally and we get to spend lots of time that way. But anyway, we start the day with a morning prayer together, and we've been taking turns leading that. So we just rotate through and everyone will have a turn reading their psalm and praying for the day. Next thing, we will hop over to the building, cook breakfast for ourselves. So breakfast and lunch meals are on our own. After breakfast, we get to hop over to sometimes Go Lake Center, or we can Zoom call and we will have a session. So like I was mentioning, like whether it's a Bible reading seminar, we do that over here at Go Lake. We also have been meeting with Brad, who's teaching the Old Testament survey course, and we have a couple sessions booked with people throughout the week, which we do then. After that, we hop back over over to Gull Lake, or and we'll make our own lunch together as a group. We can eat together or on our own. Afternoon time is our work time. So you have some time to work on some readings and work through the courses that we're doing. We also have some time to visit in there as well. And then we've also, as Eva was mentioning, with all of the cooking, we take turns cooking, and it's super fun because you also get those hands-on skills of how to cook, which is not something that everybody is just like, oh, I'm a chef. No, I am not a chef, and I have learned so much about cooking. It's been fantastic. And after supper, we have time to recreate or like spend time together as a community. So whether that is playing games together, we go down to the beach. Sometimes we have campfires down there, super duper fun. We've done a couple movie nights. We'll make popcorn. We'll do like a cheese and cracker night, all sorts of fun things. And then we close our day with evening prayer, and then we go to bed, and then we start the day again. And it sort of repeats. And sometimes we have the day trips in there as well. So hopefully that answers your question.
That's awesome. Thank you. It sounds like maybe we should be doing an adult Kurios.
Hey, I've thought about it. I still am thinking about it. I think that we could have a lot of fun. Raquel and Kia, you're gonna jump on in with my previous question, and then I noticed a question from Mac about what kind of serving things would we be doing in Guatemala. So let's go to Raquel and Kia, and then we'll let Kathleen and Byron and Bruno, whoever wants to answer that question about what kind of serving things we'll do.
So Steve, you asked about where we saw God at Kurios. Me personally, I remember we had a day at Keats Island where we got to explore the island by ourselves and have like a alone time. That's where I saw God in nature. We got to explore it by ourselves, and I found it very calming and peaceful. So that's where I saw God. Where did you see God, Raquel?
I also do really like nature. If you know me, you know I really like nature. It's cool. But kind of just in all the times that we're able to spend outside, or even here at Gull Lake, like I can go for a walk down to the beach and stuff. And when I go for walks, I like to pray. And so I can see God a lot, and just those aspects of life that I get to do every day. And then also just in a lot of the just like while I'm around, being really kind and caring, or doing something really small for me, and showing that they care about me. It's like a way of God being like, hey, I also care about you. And just like all the small little happy things where you can just sit, like you have a cup of tea, and it's kind of like gloomy outside, but you're inside with a blanket, and you're just like, hey, this is really nice and beautiful. And it's just like, it's a good thing. It's, I don't know, you see God everywhere, kind of. It's all in the little stuff and in nature.
Did you want to hear from us now? It's okay. Okay, sorry, I just didn't know if anybody else was jumping in there to share. That's great, you guys. You're gonna see God in nature here every day. So serving opportunities. And I think, one thing, of course, there's a couple of things that are important to note here. One is that you guys, I'm guessing there's not too many Spanish speakers that might be coming. There is a component that I put in there in the budget to do some homestays so that we can just learn some basic Spanish. And I think for a lot of people, if anybody speaks French there, that's certainly, I find increases your vocabulary a fair bit. But regardless, being with people that are doing work in the church. So whether it's youth groups or the schools that will be going on at that time when you're there, I don't want you to hold me to something specific because we are a year out. But I think it's just trying to be pulled into the activities of the church. And when we have people that come that don't speak the language, and especially young people, it doesn't seem to really matter a whole lot. You just come alongside and do what everybody else is doing and get involved. So whether that might be, there might be opportunities as well to do some English, maybe sharing in that regard. But I think the big thing to remember is, yes, the serving is mostly comes from giving of your time and your presence. And that we, you know, our friends in Guatemala don't necessarily need a Canadian coming from Canada to build a house or a school or something like that. So we don't typically get involved in things like that. But certainly, like I say, there can be children's programming going on. Byron, I don't know if you want to add anything to that.
Yes, I think something is so interesting. I think that all of you and the people that is coming, I mean, they have talents, they have gifts, and I think it's so important, you know, that your talents and your gifts will be so, I mean, grateful for our people, you know. So I think during the next months, I think we will know what talents you have, what gift you have, and this will be something that we will, I mean, listen for you, and this will be for the activities we will can plan in our countries.
Yeah, that's awesome to hear, Byron. One of the great things I think about Kurios is that we're a small group, so we can do exactly what you just said. We get to know our young adults and we find out what kind of gifts they have, and we get to build opportunities for them to explore and to practice those gifts and to try them out and to reflect on their experiences. And so I love hearing that that's what you're excited about too, because that's one of the big things that drives us as well. So that's super exciting. Glad to hear. Thanks, Byron.
And just so you know too, because of the language piece, we can engage local youth. Like most adults do not speak English, but occasionally we have some youth that are actually very, very capable in English. So it's also an opportunity to engage the local church youth with our people. So they might not be with you 24/7, but there'll be some activities, some things that cross over, and just we'll probably have to protect you a little bit from church serving opportunities, because most of our churches here go 7 days a week. So you'll have lots of opportunities to mesh into stuff. We may at times say, we're not going to do the Tuesday night service, but you'll have lots of things to do with the kids, the older adults. Most of the churches engaged with the community somehow. Evangelism or a service thing, or just visiting people. So there's always lots of stuff on the go.
Well, and that's so exciting to hear too, because one of our big desires to come is that we begin to see how the kingdom of God works in other cultures, and that then we come back to Canada having learned so much from our brothers and sisters about what it means to be the church, and then we can integrate that into our lives and into our experience of church and of faith, living in our own culture and our own context. So that's super exciting to hear. Other questions from people? Am I missing anything in the chat? I was sending a few messages, so I'm not sure if I missed anything else, or if any of my other students right now want to answer my other question about a way that you've seen God at work in your life over the past almost 2.5 months now. I'm not seeing anybody jump right in. Oh, is Alyssa reaching for the button?
Yes, I am. I just kind of wanted to add on a little bit of what Raquel said about the community and how everyone's here for each other. It is fantastic being in a group of small young Christian adults who you can trust and grow with together. I have never had like a awesome, like close friend group. Like I've had maybe 1 or 2 friends here and there. We kind of hang out every now and then. And I did have a best friend as well. But having a group that you're with every single day and you're able to have awesome conversations with and have so much fun together, it's been an absolutely incredible, especially coming out of a period of time where socialization has been so restricted with the pandemic and all of this stuff around that. So it's been such a good time for me and everyone here to be able to be in a close community and building all of those awesome relationships as well.
Thanks, Alyssa. That's actually a great bridge. I mean, it's great content already, but it's a great bridge into Cliff's question about COVID and what would happen if there was another COVID lockdown. So I'm happy to speak to that. So we launched last year, our first year ever. We started in September of 2020 in the middle of the first wave before there were vaccines, and Blaze can give you a wave because he was part of that group. Kurios is small enough that we can function as a household. So we kind of become a household unit together. Our home base, we can function there. We have people who come in to teach, and when needed, they can also teach remotely. So we have that option if there was another lockdown or something happened and we couldn't do some of the things that we've planned. We've learned over the past 2 years how to be flexible and how to make the goals of our ministry still happen regardless of what other external restrictions might be. Now, obviously, that means sometimes we have to change things. For example, this year, it's not safe or advisable to travel internationally yet. So our Guatemala experience, we're not able to do in January, February of 2022, but we've made an alternative plan. We're going to travel within Canada. We're going to go to Ontario, Quebec, the Maritimes. We've got some partners there that I've just started talking with who are super excited for us to be able to come and travel within our own country, experience things cross-culturally a little bit. So we expect, this is a long answer to a simple question. My students are used to that from me. They ask simple questions and I turn them into long, complicated things because we try to dig deep and get at the roots of them. But the simple answer is that we'll continue to function as a ministry, even if there is another COVID lockdown. It just means we have to change how we do it and how we deliver. Because we do travel and we engage with seniors and other people of vulnerable populations, all of our participants this year are double vaccinated, and we expect that'll be something that'll just be a reality. We'll have to continue next year, although we've also noticed that these things continue to change and we have to make these decisions, the best decisions we can make for right now, and knowing that we may have to revisit those or see where things are at later on. So yeah, are there other questions from anybody?
Steve, I have a quick question. I'm just wondering about semester start and end dates for next year. When do you guys know those dates, or when can we start planning for that?
Thanks. We will be making those dates very soon, and they're reasonably established. So we will I haven't checked the 2022 September calendar, but we will probably start right after the Labor Day weekend, the Tuesday, Wednesday, probably. Our home base has some rental groups that come in on the weekends, so we try to accommodate them for their rental groups. This year we're going 14 weeks. It's 14 weeks per semester. So if we start that early in September, while the weather is nicer in Kananaskis and for BC, then this year our last day is going to be December the 11th, and then our students will go home for the Christmas break, and then 14 weeks again, starting early in January. Assuming we can go to Guatemala in 23, we'll probably start the first Monday or Tuesday after the New Year's holiday, so that we have a week or so back together before we head to Guatemala. And I know that we'll all be really sad to leave Central Alberta in January, February to go to Guatemala, but I guess it's a hardship we'll have to face. But Kevin, we'll get those actual dates fairly quickly. It's part of our planning cycle for next year, which would have been ahead, but we've had to replan this year a bunch of times. So yeah, we're working on those. Mackenzie, how many students are there, and could any one of the students speak to the course load? Like, is it a lot of homework? Yeah, they would love to speak to that. I can answer the first question. This year we have 6 participants. We've designed the Curios experience to work really well up to 18, If it was more than 18, we'd have to reshape a bunch of the ways that we do things. So we're expecting projecting. I mean, it's brand new, so we don't know exactly what to expect and project, but I feel like we should be between 12 and 18 next year. We just need to keep getting the word out. And that's the kind of the size that we're anticipating. So one of the students should speak to the course load. Like, is it a lot of homework? Is there a lot of academic study? Which who should I put on the spot to answer that one? What should I ask, Starry, or should I ask Myra? Myra's kind of smiling and laughing. I don't know if she wants to talk about that, or Starry. How about one of you guys answer that one?
I could, I guess. It's not a ton of work. I mean, we still have like our textbook readings and a workbook and some other books that we're reading. But like one of the reasons I specifically joined Curios is it wasn't super like school-like, I guess, because I didn't want to, like, after 12 years of school, I didn't want to go to another school. So we do have sessions most days, but they're a lot more engaging and stuff than actual school. And the work is not too hard. I mean, it's easy to fall behind as I do sometimes, but most afternoons we have available to work on our stuff. So there is lots of ample time to work out, but still hang out with people. And yeah, I don't know. It's decently good, not like too stressful.
Thanks, Myra. So the one course that Alyssa referred to, the Old Testament course, we've designed like a normal 3-credit university kind of level course, and it runs weekly throughout the semester. And then after Christmas, there'll be an introduction to New Testament. So really, there's one course that's kind of like you would take if you go to university, and the rest, like Myra and others have said, are weekly sessions or Bible reading, kinds of things, seminar types of things, more than a heavy kind of academic load. We really work hard to try and balance learning to love God with our mind and love God with our emotions, our heart, our soul, our spirit, our strength. We try to build a whole package. So there's definitely intellectual work, but there's also a lot of soul work and a lot of emotional work and a lot of just learning to what it means to be children of God and followers of our Lord Jesus. Starry, Max also, Kevin's posted a question about what do we do about church on Sundays? How about we get you to talk about what we do for church?
Yeah, sure. So for church, we actually have been going to different churches every Sunday. Although our local church, our closest town here is Lacombe, and it's a 15-minute drive away. We went there once. We also went to one in Red Deer, and we've been going to different churches. And when we were in Kananaskis, we actually did church on our own, which was actually our first service together, and that was really cool. So worshiping in different places every week.
Thanks, Starry.
Just as a quick follow-up to that, since you guys are in like the central Alberta area, when you guys go around to churches, do you guys go around to some churches and do like presentations to promote Curios within the local churches in your area?
Yeah, we actually do. We bring a whole promotion box with us and set up a whole table with our banner and our posters and our view books. Actually, I have one right here. It looks like this. And yeah, so we go around to different churches every Sunday, and it's part of our promoting, which is really fun.
So if I wanted to invite you guys to our congregation, is that something I would book with you?
Yes, absolutely. And I saw your note there about Dwayne. So are you in Fort Saskatchewan? Is that where you're from?
I am, yeah.
Yeah, cool. Dwayne and I have talked already, and he told me that part of your rhythm was that when there was a 5-Sunday month, that the last Sunday was a little bit different. So we talked about whether Kurios could come on one of those Sundays. We just haven't put a date on the calendar, but we would love to come. We kind of, this year, as you all know, has been strange in Alberta. When we first arrived, we kind of regressing and went back into a lockdown place. So churches were restricted to 1/3 capacity. And so it made it a little more difficult for us to plan and say, hey, we want to come this week and this day. So we've kind of been just sort of going week by week. A couple of weeks ago, some of our group were sick, not just with colds, but we didn't want to go to church when we were sick. So once again, we did some church digitally together. But visiting churches and sharing our story. Myra, a couple of weeks ago, did part of the children's story. And when we were in Kamloops, we helped serve communion, and they asked me to speak. And so we got to have a large part in the service. So every week is a little bit different by design. We want our students to experience the lots of different ways that people worship God, and then reflect on how did I worship, and what does it mean for me as a child of God to bring an offering of worship in all these different communities with different people. And it's something that's unique, I think, and it's kind of fun. We realized that with such a short time frame and with us traveling, we wouldn't really be able to connect with one church. So we said maybe then the alternative is we experience lots of different churches and the way people worship. So that's kind of how our design is right now. But church is definitely one of our values, and my students have heard me talk about how my goal and prayer is that they would come away from this year with a love for the church that reflects Jesus' love for the church. We want to keep building that. Other questions? This has been a great conversation. I'm enjoying it. I could talk about Kurios for long periods of time. If you have more, you're welcome to stick around. You're also on the website is my email address, and it's my cell phone number. If you see anything that's up there, you can text that, or you can call at any time. You'll have direct contact. There's a chat function on the website too. If you click that button, then it sends a note to the people that are more technically savvy than me. Ingrid and Peter, who you heard from earlier, who's actually my boss, they'll get it pop up on their phone that there's somebody on the website chatting. So we try to be really accessible. If you have more questions, or if you're interested in knowing more at any time, we would love to be in touch. I think Ingrid was going to pull up one more just picture. You've heard a couple of our students talk about seeing the Northern Lights. So this is actually a fun story. We left the Banff Pastors Conference at about 9 o'clock on a Wednesday night, and we got back to our home base just after 1 a.m. And as we got out of the vehicle, Kia, who's from West Vancouver, said, "Hey, are those clouds? And how come they're kind of green?" And they weren't clouds. They were the Northern Lights. I've been in Alberta my whole life, and I've never seen Northern Lights like we saw that night. We actually all had to run down to the beach there at Gull Lake. There were 360-degree of Northern Lights surrounding us. I stayed down there for an hour, as long as I could, until I was too cold, and then I went back. But most of our students actually stayed down at the beach till about 3 o'clock in the morning, just praising God and worshiping Him and thanking Him for this incredible beauty. Alyssa, you had some other photos, I think, that were pretty awesome. Alyssa's our best photographer, at least of Northern Lights. So do you have them there? Can you share them?
Those were part of hers.
Oh, were those hers?
Some of those were hers. I was paying more
attention to what I was saying than what the pictures were.
Yeah.
That's just I just thought we'd throw that, since you heard a few people talk about seeing the Northern Lights that one night, they would throw that up as a bonus. One of the great surprises that God continues to have for us. Well, I think that's probably, I haven't seen any other questions pop up, but like I said, we're available, and we thank you for joining us. We thank you for those of you that are wondering about a gap year. Thank you for thinking about us and for considering it. We continue to pray that God would guide you and lead you to make the decisions that will most help you serve Him and love Him. For those of you that are friends of Kurios and that have joined us, thanks for your continued support and your prayers. We see every day how good God is and how much He continues to provide and how much He continues to guide, and we're extremely thankful for that. Special thanks to Bruno and Kathleen and Byron for joining us from such a long way. We're excited to come and meet you. And yeah, I think that that's probably all I need to say, except once again, thank you for joining us. Thanks to the 6 of my students for hosting and for sharing your stories and thoughts. We much appreciate it. I will see you guys when I come back down tomorrow.
God bless. Good night.
Thanks, Blaze.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for sharing, everybody.
Thanks for
Steve-
coming.
Steve, if you have a minute, I just had a couple other quick questions.
Absolutely.
Okay. When we first logged into Zoom tonight, it said that the session was being recorded. My daughter wasn't able to be with us for this session. Is this session going to be available online for people who weren't here?
Yes, we will post it right away as soon as we figure out the technology. I tried to send Mia an email, but I think it bounced back. So I don't know, like I could send a direct link, but I think something either didn't work on my end or what, but I don't know if there's another way. I could just text Dwayne too, probably, and tell him, or if there's another way to let you know when it does get posted. I recall last time we did, it took some time for it to render or something like that. And so we couldn't post it quite right away.
Okay, here I'm just putting my email in the chat. So if you can't get it to me, I just send it to me and I'll make sure she gets it.
Thank you. So Ingrid, I saw you jotting that down. It'll probably come from Ingrid as soon as she figures out and gets it posted.
Okay. And then also a quick question. So during the first semester when they're at Gull Lake, do the kids go home on long weekends, or do they basically stay there for the whole time, or can we ever pop in for a visit since we're in the area?
Yeah, great, thanks. We haven't scheduled, okay, we're not going to operate during this time or that time or another time. So we're the full 14 weeks that we're there, that the dorms will be open, we'll be providing meals, but each of our 6 students have already taken opportunity to head home at different points in time. So there's definitely flexibility for that. And I think all of them have had family or friends pop in to visit and say hi. The rooms that they're in this year actually have multiple beds in each room, so they're even able, if family have come, like I know Starry's family has to drive a long way from Nelson, so we've said, hey, if you need a bed to stay over, then you're certainly welcome to bunk in. We'll happily feed you. So yeah, that's a little bit easier this year than it was last year, just with the health situation. It's a little bit more, we have that ability now, a little bit more to come and go. So there definitely has been that. We continue to develop things too. So we ended up planning a kind of a reading week break this semester that was needed and appreciated. And I think about at one point, half of our students had gone home during that point of time. So there's lots of flexibility, and when sometimes some of our students have just felt like, I just need to get home for a couple of days and connect or do a dentist appointment or a doctor's appointment. So we've been happy to make that work. Yeah, Mac, I see your question there. Yeah, there's a 3 to 4 week break over Christmas when, like this year, our last day is December 10th, and then people head home on the 11th, and then we'll come back shortly after the New Year's holiday. So there's a sizable break. Although we're going to continue to do morning and evening prayer together by a WhatsApp. So we'll continue to be in touch with each other on a pretty regular basis, even when we're at home. Looks like Eva's making buns or cake or something back behind us.
I think she's making something with the apples from Keats Island.
Oh yeah, when we were on Keats Island, we climbed up and grabbed a bunch of apples in an apple tree and put them in a bag and brought them home. So that's good. I'm glad they're getting used.
So what time will that be ready at?
Yeah, Eva, what time are they? Oh, she can't hear me. She's I'm gonna guess it's gonna be 60 to 75 minutes. we've got a bunch of bakers this year. It's been great, but not good for my waistline. So, you know, I'm not weighing myself when I come home, because then Myra will just keep bringing me more, you know, it's cinnamon buns, or what is it next? A butternut squash bread that you're gonna make?
No, we're gonna make stuffed brioche after last night's bake-off show, right? Stuffed
Yeah,
bread.
that will be awesome.
What are you making, E?
I'm gonna try a new recipe. I'm trying to make chai cupcakes because I like chai. So don't know if it'll turn out, but this is my shot.
Hey, that looks like a snowflake I see on my screen. Very nice.
Oh.
Oh, it's even colored.
Like-
All right. Christmas time coming up.
Yeah. So Mia's just my first of my 3 Curios participants, but this one here is about 11 years away.
Okay.
11 years old.
Well, you know, we can take them a little sooner. It's okay, you know. That's
I'm gonna make a star next.
Okay.
all right. That's awesome. Yeah, Dwayne has told me a few times about how excited he is that Mia would consider this, and I'm super excited to meet her. And yeah, we definitely want to come up to Fort Saskatchewan.
Yeah, he's been, I mean, I've been a part of the congregation for about 11 years, but I'd never heard of the Curios program until he mentioned it shortly after he arrived. And so he and me have been talking about it a fair amount. So she's pretty excited about it. And yeah, I wish I'd had something like that when I was that age, because I would have loved taking advantage of something like that. So, and just listening to the participants talking about like the daily routine and stuff and living together, it just reminds me of the years I spent in a Bible college dorm. And I'm looking forward for Mia to have that experience. So.
Yeah, I did the same in 1988, went to NABC, and now here I am 30 years later, having pastored, being able to come back and take the best things about Bible school and the best things about some of the YWAM, those kinds of things, and the things I'm passionate about, and create something with these guys. It's something we're all working on together, but it's super exciting for me. Like, I feel like I'm exactly where God wants me to be, and it's fantastic. And those of you guys that are still on here, you haven't met Dwayne, but he's actually coming to teach in 8 days, 9 days, not this week, but next week. Dwayne's coming to teach for an afternoon, so you'll get to meet this guy we've been talking about. He's got a very demanding project for you to do before he comes, so you're gonna have a lot of work to do before he shows up, and you're gonna like it. And we're not gonna tell you about it till the day before. Excellent. Well, I think I'm gonna hit. Oh, I gotta. Sorry. Go ahead, Ingrid. What were you gonna say?
Matt has a question. Would we have time for personal devotions in the morning for yourself, if that's what you're saying? Definitely. We set our morning prayer time. If it's okay, I'm just going to jump onto that answer. We set our morning prayer time, like we said, 8. But then it's up to you if you want to get up and do something prior to that. That's up to you. Or then before the next session starts, there's always time to go and often and reflect on your own as well. So we definitely encourage anything like that too. So yeah, thanks for the question.
And thanks for noticing that, Ingrid. I wasn't watching that. So yeah, that's it's something that we don't just make space for, but we'll actually teach. And my students that are still here can tell you there's lots of times when I've said, all right, now I want you to take what we've just been talking about or learning and go and continue to think about it and process it and work on your journals. Everybody is keeping a journal. It's a place of prayer. It's a place of reflection. They jot down questions that come up as we read scripture together, but we're trying to build a lifelong habit, which you won't always have the lifelong habit of being able to meet with 6 to 12 other young adults twice a day. So building that habit into our personal lives is definitely something that we care a lot about. And we've got a few resources we're going to talk about together before people go home for Christmas to help you stay in those rhythms and developing those times of just being in God's presence intentionally through prayer, through reading scripture, through worship on a daily basis. So that's an awesome question. I thank you for bringing that up, Mac. That's great. Okay, I think I'm going to hit end on the meeting and figure out how to make sure we get the recording done and then put it up so that Mia and other people can make sure to get it. Amy, we can see you're still there. So thanks for being with us. And Mac, thanks for being with us. And Kevin, great to meet you and to see your face, and look forward to talking more. And the rest of you, I will see you tomorrow.
Thanks everyone for doing this today.
Thank you,
Appreciate it.
everyone.
Farewell.